Hello and welcome to another video for Midas Touch Toys, Games and Collectibles. And today we've got something quite exciting to look at, because we are looking at the 1969 release by City Magazines of their Joe 90 Top Secret Comic Annual. And it was released in late 1968 for the upcoming 1969 year. And it featured strip stories, of all your popular television programs at the time, including Joe 90, obviously, Star Trek, The Champions, Land of the Giants, and many, many more. Excuse me. Okay, so this is the front of the annual. As you can see at the top, it says Joe 90, Top Secret, and you've got Comic Annual, and you can see you've got an image of Joe 90 standing in his red suit, and just to the side of him, to his left-hand side, he's got an image of the Champions. And at the bottom, you've got an image of a rocket blasting off. And it says, Spy Thrills with the Champions. Space Adventures with Star Trek. Action all the way with Joe 90. Okay, so that's the front of the annual. Let's just spin the annual round and see what we've got on the back. Well, the back is the same image as that small image on the front, which is a rocket shooting off from the lift platform. Okay, so not much else to see there. If we turn the annual to the side, we can see it says Joe 90 Top Secret Annual. And there we have it. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to open it up and we're going to have a good look inside the annual. Okay, so I've opened the annual and I've opened this, come to the first page, and you can see an image of one of the champions on the left-hand side. And you can see Joe 90 in his suit, in a rocket, probably going off in that spaceship we saw at the beginning, on the front cover, on the back cover. And the contents read, Win, Identicards Joe 90 and Professor McClane, Joe 90 Black Gold, World Intelligence Network Part 1, Paw Foot Patrol, How Nemesis Began, The Champions Origin, The Champions Era of Judgment, Wins Grins, The World Cup, 9p, 10p Sport, Stamp Collecting Making a Star, Star Trek, Joe 90 Double Strike, World Intelligent Network Part 2, Joe's Jokes, Land of the Giants, Campbell, Man of Speed, Stamp Collecting, A New Look, The Champions, Deadline Discovery, Win, Identicards, which is Sam Louver and Shane Weston, Joe 90, Snatched to Slavery, 9p, 10p Sport, The Master Stroke, World Intelligence Network Part 3, Airborne America, and Land of the Giants. Okay, so that's the contents. Let's get into the first page, and there we can see Identicards of Joe 90 and Professor McClane, or Ian McClane, as his real name is. And then we went to the first story, which is Black Gold, which is a Joe 90 comic strip story, which is all in full colour. And then we get to the World Intelligent Network Part 1, and it's a WIM file, number JNTS70, and it's Shane Weston calling all WIN agents, and you've got lots of questions and answers at the bottom there. Paw Foot Patrol, which is on training dogs. I think they're police dogs or what have you. Again, Paw Foot Patrol. Yeah, it's certainly training the dogs on how to attack. And then we've got the Champions, How It All Began, Nemesis and the Origin. And then we've got the Champions in the Era of Judgment, which is a comic strip story. Champions was a great television program when we were kids, about these three detectives that had special powers. Really good program. Anyway, I won't go into that. Wins Grins, which is your comedy sketches. And there's information on the World Cup. And this is 1930, 1934, 1938. 1950, 1954, 1958. 1962 and 1966. Of course, when this annual came out, England were the world champions. Something that hasn't happened since. but it may happen soon. Anyway, the next strip story, 9pence, 10pence Sport. Again, which is a full colour strip story, which runs for several pages. Then we've got Stamp Collecting, Making a Start, how to start your collection of stamps if you want to do stamp collecting. And then we come on to the USS Enterprise and its first outing in Star Trek. And again, it is a full colour comic strip story. And it was a story that was unique to this, an original story for this annual. Double Strike, which is a story, a Joe 90 story, I should say, and it is a full story with colour illustrations. And then we're on to Win File Number JNTS 70, World Intelligence Network Part 2. And again, it is all conjuring things to do that time. Joke 90, which is more jokes from Joe's favourites. And then we've got Land of the Giants. Again, a great TV show back in the 60s. And it is a full colour strip story. And then we come on to Campbell, the Man of Speed. Again, it's another full colour strip story, but it is based on David Campbell, or Donald Campbell, I think it was, who was the man that drove the Bluebird, and was the man that smashed the world land speed record and the world water record. And then his son, David, followed in his footsteps. And this is the strip story behind one of those Bluebirds. So there we go, into more stamp collecting, a new look. And then we've got another story of the champions, but this time it is a full story with colour illustrations. And there you can see, that brings us to the end there. And now we've got another Win File identity cards, and we've got Sam Luver and Shane Weston. And then we've got Snatching Slavery. Oh, Snatched to Slavery, I should say. I'll turn my head to the side to read that. Which is obviously a Joe 90 comic strip story. Again, it's a full colour comic strip story for you to read at your leisure. The Master Stroke, which again is a full story with colour illustrations. And then we got Win File Number JNTS 70, World Intelligence Network Part 3. And again, it's more, I think it's questions on Star Trek actually this time. And then we move on here to America Airborne, which is all about flying, how flying has changed over the years. Remember, this is only up to 1968, so things have changed a lot since then. And the final story, I believe, which is Land of the Giants, again, another strip story from that fantastic television show back in the 60s again. And there we come to the last page, which shows you an image of Joe 90 in the Big Rat and the Star Trek on the bridge with Captain Kirk, Mr. Spock, and the gorgeous Lieutenant Uhura. Okay, and at the bottom it's got published by Century 21 Publishing and City Magazines Ltd. 1969, Century 21 Publishing Limited and City Magazines Limited, and printed and bound in England by Gerald and Son Limited, Norwich. And that brings us to the end of this annual. So there we have it. Now, obviously, you're going to ask me how well these annuals did. Well, back in 1969, we didn't have things like video recorders, DVD players, internet, live streaming, watching TV on demand. None of that existed. So if we missed our television programs on live TV or mainstream TV, well, you missed them. You could watch them. You couldn't see them again. You can rewind or go back or scan for them. It was a case of, well, you've got to wait for a rerun if they ever did a rerun. Some programs they didn't rerun. So if you missed it, you missed it. Or if you were lucky enough to watch it on a rerun, or you're lucky enough to have the programs come on a rerun, you could watch it then. But in the meantime, in order to keep us occupied with our favourite television shows, things like these annuals were released quite regularly. They were released obviously annually, but there was a lot of different ones for practically all popular television shows that was going on at the time. Not just television shows, there's pop star ones, there was comic book annuals as well, and TV, all TV related. All sorts of annuals were released back in the day because it was a big thing. And come Christmas, you would be surprised if you didn't have at least a couple of annuals in your Christmas sack when you was a kid. So yeah, they were massively popular. Obviously not as popular now compared to what they were back in the day. You still get some annuals, but nothing like you used to, that's for sure. But yeah, and they were very different back in the day because they were very story related, and facts were a small part. Nowadays, most of the annuals you get are all factual. There's only a few stories in them, and there is a few activities to do, but they're nothing like the annuals of the old days. The old annuals were by far superior. A lot of effort and thought went into these older annuals. So yes, answer the question, done incredibly well, as did all the annuals really of the time. And of course now we're talking 69 to 2024, so we're talking 55 years later. Finding these annuals, well, they're not extremely difficult to find, but they are getting harder and harder to find, especially in the condition that this one is in. I mean, this one's in superb condition. You can pick them up on the platforms, don't get me wrong, they do pop up quite regularly on the platforms, but yeah, you got to be a little bit wary of the condition and what's being offered to you on the platform. So if you are planning to buy one on the platform, just be a bit careful of that. At least here with us, we show you the actual annual that you're buying. So yes, these are becoming harder to find, especially in a very good condition like this one. But as usual, oh yes, you know it, we at Midas Touch have managed to find a few, and they're currently available to purchase on the Midas Touch website, which you can get to quite simply by clicking the link below. It'll take you straight to the website, and you'll be able to find this and many other vintage annuals and many other vintage toys, games and collectibles. Come to that, there's over 10,000 products currently available on the website for you to view and purchase at your leisure. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button, because we're uploading videos for every new item that goes into the website. There will be something for everybody, and I am absolutely positive that you're not going to want to miss this, because we literally have thousands and thousands of new products which we're shooting videos for and uploading on a daily basis. So if there's something in particular you are looking for, something old that you've never been able to find, something quirky that you might want to buy for a friend, or maybe just something from your childhood that you like to own again to help you recuperate those long lost childhood memories, well, stay tuned, keep watching, because you never know the next item we upload could be that item you've been looking for. Okay, that is it for me on this particular item. I do hope you've enjoyed this very short review. Thanks for watching, and we will see you again soon.